Hello, welcome to my channel. This is Jeremy Crow, and we are starting this evening at 11:11 p.m. Eastern Time. Tonight is just going to be another Ask Me Anything. There's no formal topic that we're going to have tonight. I see we already have somebody here in the chat. Beyond Zebra. Howdy, Jeremy. Howdy, Beyond Zebra. I'm glad you could make it. I do have a goal for super chats tonight. If we do get one super chat that's at least orange level, which I believe is $20 or more, then I will show the figurine I have on my personal altar for Lilith. Last time you got to see the figurine that I use on my altar for Lucifer. If we meet the goal, you'll get to see the figurine I use for Lilith. All right. So, one of the things that I like to do on these live streams is start off with a divination. And let's see, Hermetic Tarot or Thoth Tarot. Lately, I've been doing a bibliomancy with the Tao Te Ching, but I think this time I'm going to pull one card out of one of these two decks. Let me see if I think we can do it. Can we do a poll on here? Is that possible? Yeah, let's start a poll. Let me write it out here. All right. So we have a poll set up here in the chat. Which deck should I pull from? Thoth deck or Hermetic Tarot? So far, Thoth is winning. Let's get a couple more votes in there. In the meantime, does anybody have any questions they wanted to talk about? These are the two decks, by the way, that I use the most. But I do have other decks. I have a Marseilles deck, or Marseilles. I actually have Donald Tyson's Necronomicon deck, I believe it's called. And it's got Lovecraftian artwork, and some of the names of the cards are Lovecraftian. I actually also have a playing card deck that I have modified to be a minor arcana for the new Luciferian era tarot. So that's another one that I like to use. I have a really cool playing card deck here. It's not modified, but it is. I picked it up in Japan at the Hakone Pass, which is a checkpoint in Hakone, Japan. And this one is. It has a bunch of different. It has a bunch of different crests from different samurai families. Let me show you. Actually, it has different specific samurai in it that were known historically, and some information about each one. It is a standard 52 card deck, and but it's all in Japanese, so you have to be able to read Japanese to read it. No glasses? Well, I have them right here if I need them. But yeah, they're pretty cool cards. And so far we have all Thoth is in the poll. So let me see here. All right, let's end the poll. Might as well do it. Let's pull a card from the Thoth deck this evening. So this is the Crowley Harris deck, and it's called the Thoth deck, or the Book of Thoth. They're really big cards, actually. So you gotta have big hands to properly shuffle them, unless you're really used to it. All right. Let's see, what card did we get? Oh, okay. We got the Six of Swords. And Crowley gave each of the cards a title as well. And this one is Science, which is interesting. I don't know. I don't necessarily resonate with the titles that Crowley gave to each of these cards, but the Six of Swords, to me, that represents well, 6 is the sphere of the sun, and the swords are the realm of the mind, which is represented by the element of air. Oh, it doesn't matter to me. I'm just accustomed to seeing you without them. Yeah. Well, maybe I'll take them off again for now. You can get used to this other look. So this would be the airy aspect of the sun in the way that I interpret these cards, at least. And one of the things that I always think about when number 6 comes up is that it represents a certain stage of advancement or development. And in the the Rosicrucian initiatory system, that is represented by Adeptus Minor. It's the point at which you know what you need to do to continue advancing. So when you're working towards mastery of any skill, it could be language like Japanese, so you could read these cards. It could be tarot itself. It could be learning a musical instrument or a sport, anything that you want to develop mastery in. Or it could be the Rosicrucian system of initiation, or any other such systems of occultism. And the Adeptus Minor has hit that milestone where they understand what they need to do to continue working towards mastery. So up until that point, you maybe have been exploring things, experimenting, that sort of thing. But then this is the point at which you recognize, okay, now I know where I'm headed and how to work toward achieving that. And then you can steadily work toward mastery from that point. And so with this card, it would represent the that within the realm of the mind. So some sort of intellectual pursuit, I would say. So I wonder, does that resonate with anybody who's watching tonight, or who's watching this as an archive video later, that you may have stumbled upon this video and started watching and found me doing this reading, and maybe that means something to you in this moment. Maybe it feels relevant. Okay, I have a couple other. Athena Haliel says, hello, watching with my husband. Oh, wow. Welcome to both of you. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions you want me to address, please feel free to ask in the chat. Okay, Beyond Zebra said, okay, this strongly resonates with me. I'm in mastery mode now, and the focus happens to be on the topic of one of your NOL courses. Cool. Which particular course would that be, I wonder? So, what Beyond Zebra is referencing there with NOL, that is the Novus Ordo Luciferi, which is an esoteric order that um, that I utilized as a vehicle to teach a system of occultism that I've refined over the course of about 30 years. And I call that system of occultism Luciferian Alchemy. And there are several courses that I have taught to the members, and you can access any of them by joining the order, and it's only $5 USD per month. So it's, for one thing, there is a very in-depth tarot course. For example, since we were talking about tarot, there is an extremely advanced lucid dreaming and astral projection course that gets into some of the most advanced techniques of lucid dreaming and astral projection that you're going to find out there. And I don't charge, $90 or $80. I don't even charge 50. It's just, if you join the order, you get access to it, and it's only $5 a month to join the order. And I think that if you do join, you'll see so many benefits that you'll probably want to continue being a member. So we do, for one thing, you'll get access to all of the entire back catalog of all the courses that I've taught to members. And I think at this point, we've got about 50 hours worth of material of recorded lessons, and it's constantly growing. We're actually going to be doing another one tomorrow evening, and that's going to be recorded and will be added to the archive as well. So there'll be at least, usually that particular course is money magic, and Beyond Zebra mentioned that that's the one that you were focusing on. So you've been going through all the lessons and reading the recommended books. Not just for money, it truly is about self-mastery for me. Yeah, so it's called money magic, but it gets into a lot more than just that. It's just, that's how we kind of focus that particular set of skills and teachings and practices is around money magic, because it's the easiest way to kind of frame it. But as Beyond Zebra said, it goes much beyond just money. But yeah, tomorrow, if you are interested, we are going to be doing continuing the money magic sessions, going through some additional material. And it's not just me. There's another guy who, Larry L, and the two of us are teaching this course together. He's done this, he's mastered this material for quite a while, and he's very good at this as well. And so we've been recording this material. Beyond Zebra said, shout out to Larry. I thank you both. Yeah, so most of the courses are just taught by myself, but these money magic courses, I've also brought in an additional expert to teach with me, which is Larry L. And some of the other courses you might be interested in, one of them is a system of breath work that I call Poison Path Pranayama, which has some very unique teachings in it. And it's just an introductory course, but it is something that I'm developing, and I'm actually writing a book at the moment on that subject. And so you could get an introduction to that topic if you join. What are some of the other courses that we have? Self-hypnosis. We did that one recently. There's a bunch of them. And you get access to the entire back catalog of that if you join the NOL. And there's a link in the description to the Patreon. That's how most members join. And like I said, it's only $5 a month. You get access to a course on the new Luciferian era calendar as well. We're currently in year 12 of the new Luciferian era. And you get access to a Google Calendar, which has the dates in the new Luciferian era or NLE format for each of the different dates. So you can look that up. Actually, let me see what today is. So today is actually 12/7/24 NLE. That's the date format. And I've got it all calculated out and input into this Google Calendar for you already. So you don't have to do these calculations yourself. And I have to do these manually, and I input them in one day at a time, actually. So I when I have time, I add some more to it, and I expand the date ranges that are covered by this calendar as we go. So you get access to that. That's something that only the members get. And so today is year 12, day 7, or sorry, year 12, lunation 7, day 24. It's almost day 25. And then when you get to when we get to the new moon, it'll switch over to the 8th lunation and day 0 of that lunation. So July 24th, 2025 is the next new moon. So that day will be year 12, lunation 8, day 0. And so this is a way that you can track the telluric or earthly cycle of the 24-hour cycle of the day. You can track the lunar cycles, and you track the solar cycles as well. So those are the 3 natural cycles that the new Luciferian era calendar tracks. And we always start at 0 for each of the different cycles, and we always start at the darkest point of that cycle. So, basically for convenience and for standardization, we use midnight for the daily cycle. And we have the new moon as the point where we mark the beginning of each lunation. And for each year, we mark that on the winter solstice. So that's the darkest point in the solar cycle as well. So that's how that works if you were ever curious about the new Luciferian era calendar. And I have a course about how exactly you can calculate out those dates for the calendar. But you don't need to if you're a member, because you can just check the Google Calendar. Beyond Zebra said, "Yeah, I'll be going through your lucid dreaming courses soon. I love lucid dreaming and would like to be far more advanced." Yeah, I have. It's funny. I had a funny dream last night. It wasn't lucid. This part of the dream, at least, but I remember the part that I remember the most was I had these 2 guys that were doing these freestyle raps. And they were encouraging me to do it. They're like, "Yeah, you do some freestyle." And there was like music in the background, music playing that I was supposed to freestyle rap over. And I was like, "No, what are you talking about? Like, maybe I could do a few for fun or whatever, but it's going to be really bad. I'm just going to embarrass myself. I've never done it before, like maybe if I practiced a bit or something, this is, no, I'm not going to do it." Like, come on, just the words will just come to you." And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. And I thought it was really funny, but that they were trying to encourage me to freestyle rap. And it's not something that I do. It's not something that I ever practiced or anything like that. But in the dream, they were encouraging me to. You get some crazy dreams sometimes. I don't know if anybody else gets that. I mean, that's pretty tame compared to some of the dreams that I've had. I had some even crazier dreams earlier in the night, but it was in the middle of the night and I didn't get a chance to write it down, and then I ended up forgetting it. I'm hoping something will trigger the memory because I can feel it. It's almost there, but something, I'll need something to kind of trigger that memory back again. But I feel like it still hasn't fully gone. But if I do remember it, I'll write it down in my dream journal, and I'll show you the dream journal that I'm currently working on right now. This is the book that I'm using to write my dreams in. I've had several. This one has a really cool gold design on it with the peacock. And I love that because peacock is one of the symbols of Lucifer. That in the Sufi, in certain Islamic based and Sufi based traditions, specifically the Yazidi tribe of people, they have a version of, you could call it a version of Lucifer that is known as the peacock god. Do any foods influence your dreams? Someone I know gets insane nightmares when he eats Taco Bell. That's funny. One thing that I do notice is that if I take B vitamins, especially if I take it before bed, but if I take B vitamins, I find that I have more vivid and clear dreams. So that's one thing that I have noticed. I haven't really noticed any kind of specific foods causing any kind of effects on my dreaming life, though. Now, one thing that I do like to advise people is that, especially in this day and age when we have legalized cannabis, that if you utilize cannabis, it's going to have a major detrimental impact on your dreams because it suppresses REM sleep. Some people still do have dreams when they're utilizing cannabis, but it's still suppressing it to some extent. So if you didn't utilize cannabis, then your dreams would be a lot more clear, vivid, and you'd be much more likely to attain lucidity within those dreams if you were to abstain. So dreaming is very much a priority in my life. My dream life is very important to me, and it always has been. I've had lucid dreams since I was very young. I was probably about 5 or 6, and my mother said something to me which made me realize that lucid dreaming was something that was even possible. And she had told me that I could control my dreams if I wanted to, because I came to her complaining that I had a lot of nightmares, and I was about 5 or 6 at the time. And she said, well, if monsters attacking you or whatever, or coming after you, just don't let them, because it's your dream. You can control it. And I was like, what, really? I didn't know that. And she goes, yeah, of course, I do it all the time. My mom has a lot of lucid dreams just naturally. So my father has a very rich dream life as well. So I guess I get it from both of them. And so I had, the next time that I had a nightmare, I realized that I was dreaming, and I was able to exert control over the dream, and I was able to basically conquer my fear of these nightmares through lucid dreaming. And as I grew up, I experienced the occasional random lucid dream here and there. And then when I was a teenager, I realized that actually there is a name for it. I didn't know it was called lucid dreaming, and that there are actually a set of practices that you could do that would make lucid dreaming happen more frequently. And so I started practicing those, and I started having crazy number of lucid dreams, and it has been so impactful on my understanding of reality itself, you could say. And I studied even more, and I looked into trying to find some of the most advanced lucid dreaming, dream work, dream yoga material that I could come across. And some of the most advanced material that I was able to come across, especially early on, was found within the Tibetan Buddhist tradition and Tibetan Bon shamanism. And where's oh, I have it underneath my camera, so I can't really get it to you. But actually, I'll do it. I'll get it for you. This is a different book. So this is another book that has some pretty advanced stuff, and this is from a Western tradition, and this is called The Backward Path: Lovecraftian Dreaming and the Secret Lore of the Ocean by Howler Dalroth. Now, he was the second most recent head of the Esoteric Order of Dagon. Now, there's two groups calling themselves the Esoteric Order of Dagon. They're both quite small, but the one that Howler was the head of until fairly recently, when a new person took over as head. The one that he was ahead of was not based on Thelema, or didn't mix Thelema into the practices. The other one, I believe Kenneth Grant had some influence. The writings of Kenneth Grant influenced a lot of that other group. And Kenneth Grant, of course, was involved with Thelema, and that group mixes Thelema in with their Lovecraft-based practices as well. But the one that Howler was ahead of, they tried to be more pure Sothothian, is what they call it, and that was, I guess, Lovecraft's preferred term for the type of magic or esoteric practice that was performed by the characters in his fiction. And Lovecraft himself, he claimed not to believe in the occult, but he had a very rich dream life, and most of the vast majority of the stories that he wrote were heavily inspired by dreams that he had. And so in that, one of the things that Howler said was that they in that esoteric order of Dagon, they would treat the fictional works of H.P. Lovecraft as sort of an elaborated or embellished version of a dream diary of H.P. Lovecraft himself, which is pretty true. It's a good way of it's a true way of looking at it, because he admitted that the vast majority of his stories were heavily inspired by dreams he actually had. And so what they did is they looked into it, and they believed that he was tapping into something. Whether he was conscious of that or not is another question. As I said, he publicly denied believing in the occult, but he did have this very rich dream life, which he recorded in fictional form. And so they utilized that as inspiration for a lot of work that they would do. And a lot of the work that they do in that order is based on lucid dreaming. And so they ended up developing a quite advanced form of lucid dreaming practice, that some of the more advanced material that I've come across in the Western system. So yeah, if you wanted to check that out, that I would recommend getting this book, The Backward Path. It's kind of hard to find on Amazon, but you can find it if you look hard enough. Especially what I did is look up Howler Dalroth's name, and then look up the books that he's got published, and then look through there. So what else should we talk about this evening? Some of the practices that they do in this involve shape shifting, traveling to different dream realms, and going back through atavistic aspects of the self. And in some of the more advanced Tibetan dream work and dream yoga type practices, some of the more advanced stuff that they get into is meditating within a dream, for example, in a lucid dream. But the really advanced stuff is becoming conscious, or becoming aware, I should say, of the subtle level of conscious that exists in non-dream sleep. So when we go to sleep, we go through different sleep cycles. We will drop down into REM sleep, which stands for rapid eye movement. And that is where we tend to have the most vivid dreams. You can have dreams in other stages of the dream cycle, but during the REM phase of a sleep cycle, which lasts roughly about 90 minutes, the whole cycle, you kind of dip down into sleep and dream, and then you come back up and you briefly wake up. And this happens several times a night, but typically we're so zonked that we just kind of wake up briefly and then we kind of fall back to sleep and then forget that we even did that. But you can become aware of those brief waking points, and you can become aware during the phase of a sleep cycle where you are in deep dreamless sleep. It's a very subtle form of consciousness, but you can become aware during that. And it's they refer to it as the dream of clear light, which is kind of a misnomer because it's not a dream. It's like the lack of dream. It's not light either, because there is no experience during that. It's just pure consciousness. It's a very subtle consciousness, and you have no experience arising, no sensation of experience. So it's like I like to call it the void, actually, but they call it the dream of clear light, which I think sets up a very wrong expectation, because people, when they think clear light, they think white light or very bright light. And some people, when they think on it later, it can be almost like blackness. It can be almost like pure light. It can be blackness. But I think when they say clear light, they mean kind of like transparent light. There's a luminousness, or a sensation of luminousness, and that is just consciousness itself, the subtle form of consciousness that exists within that phase of deep dreamless sleep. And so that's what they're referring to. But it's not the sensation of light, it's not the experience of light, I should say. It is just a luminous kind of experience of a pure awareness. Whereas when we're having the waking experience, you have experience being generated based off of data coming in through the senses and going through several filters, which will identify meaningful patterns in that raw data coming in from the sense organs. So, for example, light bounces off an object, and a very tiny sample of that light makes its way through the lens, through the cornea of my eye, and gets focused onto the retina, which is covered in rods and cones. Now, certain bandwidths of frequency and certain ranges of intensities will trigger these rods and cones to send an electrochemical signal through the optic nerve into the visual cortex of the brain. And it's funny because even all this is part of the simulation as well. But that raw signal coming from the eye, for example, we can do this with any of the major sense organs. That raw electrochemical signal makes its way into the brain, and it gets filtered for meaningful patterns in that raw data. If any meaningful patterns get detected, they get translated into symbolic representations, which then are presented to the point of awareness, and that's what we refer to as the waking experience. It's a simulation, an internally generated simulation that is symbolic. It's purely symbolic. So we take for granted that what we experience when we are awake to be reality itself. It isn't. It is a internally generated symbolic representation of meaningful patterns detected in the data stream, mostly from our sense organs. Now, when we go to sleep and we enter into a dream, especially if we're in the REM phase of sleep, it's the same experience generator function of the mind that takes that creates a symbolic representation or a symbolic experience or representation of meaningful patterns detected in the more subtle forms of data that we have access to when we are asleep and dreaming. And these could be memories that are being processed in the mind. It could be from supposedly random firings of neurons coming from the brainstem. That is what science says, at least. I have a theory that these could be signals that we are picking up, like a radio signal almost. They're not random at all. So some of these could be external signals. So when you have a dream, it might not all just be this kind of sandbox environment where you are experiencing aspects of yourself. Now, I think that most dreams that most people have most of the time, you are usually experiencing and interacting with symbolic aspects of your own psyche, but it's not always like that. Or at least we have experiences on occasion that seem to go beyond a purely internal experience. That's up for speculation, whether you want to believe in that part of it or not. And that's up to you, whether you've had those experiences or not. And even if you have had experiences that felt very much external, that doesn't necessarily mean that they were. Because when we're having the waking experience, which is, like I said, it's the same function of the mind that generates that experience and presents it to the point of awareness, it feels like there's external stuff, right? You're watching a screen right now and you're listening to speakers producing sound, and it feels very much external, but your experience of it is being generated internally and presented to the point of awareness, or the conscious point of awareness function of your mind. So yeah, it can get, that's why people sometimes have dreams where they're like, it felt so real. How can I have a dream that felt so much like I was awake? It's because it's the same function of the mind that's producing that experience generating function of the mind. It's just focused on a different bandwidth of data when you are having the waking experience versus the asleep dreaming experience. I like to refer to them as the solar and the lunar dreams in order to recognize that what I'm experiencing while I'm awake or supposedly awake or having the waking experience, that experience is also a simulation or a dream. So yeah, like I said, I've had a lot of lucid dreams. I've had a lot of astral experiences, and it has changed and transformed the way that I view reality itself. I feel like when you are in deep dreamless sleep, perhaps you're closest to experiencing base reality because that simulation is not turned on at the time, and you are in the void. I mean, to say in the void is also a misnomer because it's hard to use language that is based on very dualistic, binary type experiences to describe non-experience. It's hard to use the words of experience to describe non-experience, but we can try. And so that's why I personally like to use the term the void. Yeah. Okay. So we just had one person dominating the chat there with just, I guess you could call it poetry. So I just put them in timeout for like 10 minutes so other people get a chance if they wanted to chat. Yeah, so I mentioned that tomorrow we're going to be doing a lesson, a private lesson for members of the Novus Ordo Luciferi. And so if you are interested in that, you can check out the link in the description to the Patreon and you can join through there. You'll get a link, a private link to the meeting, and then you'll be able to participate in that. As well, you'll get access to, as a member, you'll get access to all the previous courses and lessons that have been taught and recorded. So, as well as all the written material. So, there are a lot of written documents of philosophy, teachings, that sort of thing, as well as specific instructions for different practices, including a self-initiation rite, there are energy work practices, that sort of thing. There's all kinds of material available for members, and it continues to grow. As I said, we also have some archived divinations that I've done for the group as well. I should do some more of those actually, but another thing that you might be interested in, we have a mini zine, which is the periodical of the Novus Ordo Luciferi, and it's one sheet of paper that is printed on both sides and folded, and there's a single cut that needs to take place to make this format. And this is the official periodical of the Novus Ordo Luciferi. It's called Snake. So far, there's just the one issue, but they come out. The intention is for them to come out every equinox, every solstice, and every cross-quarter festival. So that would be 8 times a year. And the next one is intended, I'm going to try and get it out for August 1st. Some of these can have material. I mean, the plan for it, at least, is that for some of the material in these to have material contributed or content contributed by members of the Novus Ordo Luciferi. Yeah, like, and if you unfold it, you get extra kind of hidden content. So this one has a full page article on the light bearer archetype, and there we go. Folded back up. So this actually, you go through, symbolically, you go through the alchemical process when you read this. The external front and back cover represents the element of earth, which breaks down into the three principal elements of water, fire, and air. And then when those are refined, harmonized, and reintegrated together, then the fifth element that lies hidden, dormant, is manifest, and that's the hidden content on the inside if you were to unfold it. So that's how that was structured for the summer solstice issue, the first issue of that. Beyond Zebra, you'd mentioned that you're going to get an annual subscription. Yeah. So you can purchase it. I'll put a link in the description, or maybe I'll do it in a pinned comment to this video after the fact. If you wanted to get yourself a copy of Snake, or if you wanted to get an annual subscription. I did send out a bunch of this particular one, and I'm wondering if anybody received it. Dawn got one. Beyond Zero, your friend Dawn. So yes, I sent her one, and I put a couple little extras in there with it. So I'm wondering if she got it. I haven't had a chance to talk to her recently, but be interested to see what she thought. So you can actually print these out on your own for free. The PDF file for this is available for free, and you can print it out and fold it yourself into this format. Or if you want a copy of it that is already done by myself, then you can purchase a copy, and that you can either get it through an annual subscription, or you can buy individual issues. It's just a few bucks, and plus shipping, which is just an envelope with a stamp on it, basically. So it's not very expensive, and I'll make one and I'll send it to you, and you might get a couple little freebies in there, extra little bonuses if you get that. Oh, she mentioned she got it. Oh, cool. Yeah, so there's that. And we're going to come out with a new issue very soon. So that's only in like about less than 2 weeks, I guess. And so you'll get issue 2 will be coming out of Snake. So that's exciting. And it is midnight here where I am in southern Ontario, Canada. And so if there are any more questions, then certainly we can address those. If not, then maybe I'll wrap it up for the evening. If you do want to support the channel and what I'm doing here, you can join the Novus Ordo Luciferi. Like I said, it's only $5 a month. You could contribute a super chat, or I think they're called super thanks, if you're watching this after the fact as an archive video. And that's a way to contribute financially. Or you can hit like on this video, and that is probably one of the best ways you can support this channel, is just hitting that like button. Subscriptions are good too, but the YouTube algorithm prefers if you hit that like button, and it shows that you enjoyed the content and this type of material, and it will continue to show it to you more, that type of stuff, as well as it'll show this particular video to other people that have similar interests. And so that is probably the biggest way that you can contribute, and it doesn't even cost anything to just click that like button. And I try and do these live streams often. Usually I will have a private Novus Ordo Luciferi, or NOL, private members meeting afterwards. A lot of them are just casual hangouts where you get to ask direct questions to me, to other members, talk about whatever topics you feel like chatting about, get to know one another, develop, camaraderie, share camaraderie and fellowship and that sort of thing. And they're really fun. We have a lot of fun. I usually will do a divination on those as well, and those are not recorded. And then sometimes we'll do a recorded one where we have a formal lesson. Like tomorrow, we're going to be doing one of those, and like I said, it'll be money magic. So if you're interested in that, you can jump on by clicking the link in the description to join the Patreon, and you'll see tomorrow I'll post a secret link to that meeting and a time where you can attend. And if you don't happen to be able to attend, it'll be recorded and added to the back catalog of lessons, which you get all of if you join. Beyond Zebra said, I find it fascinating that the peacock is another Luciferian symbol. For some reason that resonates with me more than some of the others. Yeah. So a rooster is a classic symbol of Lucifer, and another bird that Lucifer is connected to is the peacock. And that the main connection there is through the Yazidi tradition, and some sects of Sufism or Sufis. So that is where that connection comes from, the main connection to the peacock. All right, well, I really appreciate everybody who managed to hang out with me this evening. Anybody who happened to be watching this video as an archive video after the fact, I appreciate that you watched all the way to the end here. Yeah, I try and do these as often as I can. I can't do them every single night because I get burned out, but I want to try and I want this to be sustainable. So sometimes I go to bed early and try and get a really good night's sleep. Sometimes I'll do these, but I try and do them fairly often. And most of the time afterwards, we have a private NOL meeting. Tonight, we're not going to be doing that, but tomorrow, I'll do a live stream tomorrow, and I'll follow it up with a formal lesson for NOL members, which will specifically be on money magic. And Larry L will be joining me on that one. Also, the two of us will be teaching that. And until next time, everybody, stay lucid.